All right, had to sneak out and do one more video session on the Honda RS125, the 93. No other than the great state of Texas, in case you hadn't guessed. I wonder who owned this bike, man. They did a really nice job with it. I think it's got the inverted Showa forks, Nissan caliper, free floating front rotor, Nissan master cylinder, KX65 two-stroke that looks like it's been completely rebuilt. And I actually figured out the hour timer on this thing. It looks like it had about 4 hours when I bought it. And you can see somebody went in and put torque paint on there to make sure none of the bolts had moved. But it looks like someone went through the entire engine. And I took the fairing off, and they had like cut out some parts. So they didn't cut the frame, but they made some stuff to modify the mount so that this KX65 engine could fit in where the Honda was. And I'll tell you, man, this engine at about 10,000 to 12,000 RPM is crazy powerful. When it kicks in, it really rips. I mean, 17 horsepower is plenty. This is a full aluminum frame. So this bike is super light. I mean, lighter than a mini GP bike, lighter than your Ovale. It's unbelievable how light this bike is. So you can just throw the thing around. It's cramped in the legs, but you're really spread out in the torso. So it's actually really, really comfortable to ride. The guy dropped the front fork. Let me know what you think about that from a standpoint of setup. But you can see the fork is definitely dropped down in the front. I think that helps it turn in. Correct me in the comments, but it does turn in really, really well. I just softened the rear shock 1/2 turn on the setting. I'm actually getting a little rub on the rear mud flap, whatever you want to call it. So I'd like to have a little more clearance there. Doesn't seem that hard to modify this to make the seat higher, and I might do that, but right now it's doing just fine for shorter sessions. I just went I had some of these laying around just to give me some grip, and I cut out the remnants of a foam seat to make myself a seat just because today I could ride. I figured why not? I'll get some nicer stuff later, especially when I repaint and do the upgrades. Speaking of which though, man, this fairing is really starting to speak to me. It's starting to look good to my eye. At first it looked too squatty, but now I think it looks really nice. And I don't know about the paint job, but the rest of the bike is definitely growing on me. Thought it was interesting too, this guy put a running light. And you can see I've got it on right now. When I first got the bike, it wasn't working, of course. I just pulled a dead battery and put a little LiPo in there. It's actually mounted in the tail. So maybe that was because it was such a small bike, but you can see there's a switch here, and that turns the rear tail light off. Speaking of which, the Micron, I wasn't sure if it worked, and it does, hooray. The Micron, this is the 4, I think it's like 10 years old. Put a little 9-volt battery in there and it started working. Just press it on. It's got a GPS. I believe this is the exhaust temperature coming out right out of the on the header. RPM and your lap time. So it gives you your most recent lap time, so you can see it right after you finish the lap. It's perfect for what I'm doing. I'm so psyched this came with it. What a little bonus. You can actually set the GPS by pressing this button right here twice. You can set your start line, 8 satellites, and then you can set up your track start line right there, and then it just starts logging laps for you, which is just freaking awesome. So overall, this thing has just been a real treat to find this on Facebook Marketplace. Wanting to always try out a bike like this, and getting along pretty well with it. I mean, it's starting right up. The push start is pretty hysterical, but it works great. main thing is just getting used to that power band being up so high. Really got to ride this thing like a race bike. So Pirelli tires, they're doing great. I'm running them at 25 pounds front, 23 in the rear, just to keep it nice and soft. I haven't had any issues with grip. It's been fantastic, despite these having those little tar snakes and painted lines that are not grippy. So still getting used to this bike. I'm looking forward to bringing it to a kart track. I think I'm going to be doing that hopefully at VIR at the end of the month. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, man, post up any comments if you've been riding one of these, if you know something about these, if you can tell me something about that KX65. I'm all ears as I learn this bike. And yeah, keep you know, hit subscribe, like it if you like it, check back. I'm going to be doing a bunch of these kind of videos, and I'll catch you on the next one.